Hi guys, the specific topic that I'm going to be focusing on for my culture project is the life and career of Javier Bardem. I was actually very happy to see him featured on page 99 of En Tu Medio because I have been very fascinated by this man for a long time. And now this kind of gives me an excuse to delve further into his work, so yay. Like I mentioned before, I was already a little bit familiar with his work because he played a character named The Poet in one of my favorite movies ever. It's called Mother by Darren Aronofsky. Javier Bardem in that movie played such a complex and compelling character. He did an amazing job as an actor, but he left me hating that man. So I'm glad I took a little bit of time to look into his other work as well. So Javier Ángel Encinas Bardem was born on March 1st, 1969 in Las Palmas, Madrid, Spain. His father was majorly absent in his childhood, leaving him, his brother Carlos, and his sister Monica left to be raised by their single mother, and her name was Pilar Bardem. He describes this time with the following quote: "I saw the world through a woman's eyes. My mother played both mother and father. I saw what it meant to be a woman in this world and what it meant to be an actress in the 60s in Spain. It was not taken seriously at all." He goes to describe his mom as a lioness, and he highlights the strength that it took her to raise her 3 children. I would just like to interject to say that it's amazing just how strong she was. Even though she was very ridiculed for being an actress at that time, she went on to go raise 3 successful actors. All 3 of her children have an IMDb page, so that's just telling you she did a good job. He then goes on to explain that the most important ideal that he learned from her was to never get married to the idea of success or failure. Because to him, the definitions of those 2 things are ever changing. It used to be getting cast as his next part in his next film, and now for him, success is being a good father, a good husband, and caring and making time for the people that he cares for. Now that we talked a little bit about Javier's life, let's look a bit at his career. Now let's start off with what may very well be his most famous role, Anton in No Country for Old Men. Now, have I seen this movie? No. But do I recognize this grown man in this petite bob? Yes. No, but in all seriousness, this movie is about a hunter named Llewellyn Moss. I don't know if that's how that's pronounced, I'm so sorry. But basically, he finds and steals $2 million from a drug deal gone wrong, and this man, Javier Bardem, who plays Anton, is a hitman hired to go and retrieve that money, and he will literally do anything to get that money. It is scary. Here's what Javier had to say about that.
The challenge was to create this person who would feel nothing. He will follow his own ethics no matter what, and he will do it against his own will. I guess that's the crazy part. Like if something beyond his control or over him is telling him how to act, and still we don't know what it is. As an actor, that's the world that I kind of created for myself to, I guess, justify Anton Chigurh's actions.
Now let's just say Anton, this very spooky hitman, and the poet, who is an allegory for God, let's just say they're 2 very different people. That for me kind of shows the diversity within characters that Javier Bardem can play. Yeah, I mean, I just think he's incredibly talented. Another big role for him was Desi Arnaz in Being the Ricardos. This movie was essentially about a very stressful week during the production of I Love Lucy, which by the way is like one of my favorite shows ever, in which Lucille Ball was facing communist allegations and Desi Arnaz was facing infidelity allegations. So yeah, it just sounds like a very stressful week. But what I found to be the most interesting was actually Javier Bardem's take on playing a Cuban man as a Spaniard.
And they were doing what I think they should do, which is the Latin representation in movies in Hollywood or out of Hollywood. It's not enough, and I support that they really go and try to find the actors from the origin of where they're from where the characters are from. I find that respectful and logical. But I'm always saying, if it doesn't happen for any reason, I'm here because I'm going to work and worship that fact and commit to the role as I've always done it.
I think this was an important distinction to make because he clarifies that he was very for the idea of the role going to a Latino man, and that regardless if he got the role or not, he was going to treat it with respect and honor it to make sure it was as accurate to Desi Arnaz as possible. I have learned through my research that Javier Bardem is a very gracious and grateful man. He seems to truly analyze the characters that he's going to play and even studies them months before actually portraying them. He doesn't try to be more than he is, he acknowledges his humanity, and it's no wonder why he's in such high demand for the industry. He's a humble man and does the job well. Something that actually surprised me through my research was just the sheer amount of movies that this man was in, and also the length of his career. Like, yeah, I know he did a little some, but the length of his movie tab on Google, it just kept going and going and going. And just seeing how different the genres of things he was in, it was very interesting. Like, this man was in a movie called Huevos de Oro, but also in The Little Mermaid. I first watched Mother in 2017, and I don't know why I assumed that he was new to the scene, but I was in fact incorrect. Now I've been trying to think of like an equivalent American or Mexican actor in terms of variety and like length of career, and I can only think of a few, so I guess that just means he's very talented. Someone who does come to mind though is Eugenio Derbez, a Mexican actor, and I think in terms of length of career they've been both making movies since the 90s, although Eugenio definitely focuses more on the comedy aspect of things. And in terms of an American actor, I'm thinking someone more like Morgan Freeman. I think both of them have been in a variety of different films. Their length of career also dates back to like late 80s, early 90s, and they both have these booming, thunderous voices, and yeah, honestly, I think they're quite similar. After all of my research, I can conclude you, Javier Bardem, are a very cool guy. Congratulations, you have my stamp of approval. I'm sure this is the highest honor you've ever received. No, but honestly, I wasn't familiar with his work, and this gave me an opportunity to finally delve into it, and I'm very glad that I did. I honestly really want to check out No Country for Old Men. That seems like an interesting plot. And I kind of want to check out his older work as well to see his growth as an artist. Thank you guys for watching my culture project, and I hope you learned something new. Bye!